What's the difference between a kiln-dried log and an air-dried log? A lot of people don't really understand what the benefits may be of having kiln-dried logs. I think very fundamentally, we see it as something that protects your investment in the long run.
Kiln drying is mechanically drying that log. So it's going to remove the moisture from that log or timber. It's breaking the cells of that living tree and releasing the water. So now it can't get trapped back into that tree because the cell is broken. Yeah, it's going to prevent that home or log or timber from shrinking and settling as you're living in that home. Cracks, checks, gaps aren't going to develop in your log walls or in your timber joinery. So very key feature to have in any log and timber home. We just put a second kiln in here. We think it's that important. The demand for our products are getting more and more every year. Our homes are getting bigger, so we need more logs and timbers to put in the kiln. So it was just, we're running out of room in the kiln. As the logs get bigger, they take longer to dry as well. And it actually really is a science. Those guys are trained on how to use that kiln. It's not just throwing them in there and, hitting the button and pulling them out in a couple weeks. I mean, they want to dry them efficiently. They don't want to dry them too fast, so they do crack or check while they're in there. There's probes put into each bunk as it's put in there, so they can watch that with the computer system. They can control it from their house if they need to. If they're not here on the weekend and it gets cold or it gets warm, they can adjust the levels on the kiln. So it really is a science. But yeah, it's definitely, like you said, protecting your investment. Stain is going to adhere better to a dried log versus an air dried or just a green log. So yeah, I mean, we heat treat, kiln dry all of our products too, which meet all the phytosanitary requirements for shipping into Canada, let's say. So that's just an added benefit of the kiln drying process, the heat treat kiln drying process. It's stamped right on the log. And it also helps reduce, the amount of shipments you're going to need from us, because it's removing that weight. Water weighs about 8 pounds a gallon. So the more weight you can remove from that log or timber, the less weight you have in shipping. So
what we're able to do is we're expediting the changes that might naturally occur to the log as it were to air dry over the next 50 years. All that's happening before your home's even built.
Right.
So we're pre-stressing all of those timbers. So we wouldn't have any big developments in the size of them, the shrinkage, the checks forming, or anything of that sort.
Right.
Now, when you said heat treat and phytosanitary, that's purely microorganisms that exist in the wood?
Right. It's killing anything that may have been in that log or timber while it was growing. It eradicates any bugs or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, phytosanitary means, it's basically cleaning that log. Yeah.
Someone may look at a fresh log or timber and they might think, well, visually I can't see anything at all, but there could still be something on a microscopic level. Right. And that's what this is taking care of.
Yep. And it also crystallizes that any maybe sap that may be in that log too. Typically we're removing anything that we see though from our, all of our logs are stamped, as they're coming out. They're graded and stamped as they're coming off the line. So, but it also helps in that too.
Yeah. So John, are there different grades for the logs and timbers?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually third-party inspected. So we're held to a certain standard. So as the logs are coming off the line, our guys are trained to know whether it's a number 1 grade, number 2 grade, or we set them off to the side if we deem them not worthy of being in our Golden Eagle package. And then those would become to us like seconds, where we may sell them, to a do-it-yourselfer, just doing like little small projects or something. We also go through, just because we want to be mindful of the product. So let's say we're running full log and you get a knot 2 feet in, but then the rest of the wood's still good. We'll cut that 2 feet out, and then we can maybe get a corner cut, a full log corner, stuff like that. So we do a really good job of grading all the logs as they're coming through. Last thing we want to do is ship logs out to, let's say, Montana, and they're not these beautiful logs that the customer's expecting, and then we got to ship them more stuff, on our expense. So we're going to make sure when we're shipping those, everything's graded perfect. All your headers, they're going to be graded number 1 grade if they need to support certain weight loads, stuff like that.
And let's talk about the variety of sizes of timbers and logs that we use. A lot of our logs are eastern white pine. We also have Douglas fir for our structural timber frames, but we do see white pine being used in a lot of our timber structures as well, more on more of a decorative application, though.
Right. And we can, we can expand beyond those standard species. We've got clients in the past that wanted cedar or wanted cypress. It's just a matter of us purchasing those raw materials and milling them here into our log profile. So we can certainly expand beyond those two wood species, but that's what we predominantly use. Those are great wood species. They're stable materials. Eastern white pine grows plentiful in our area. It's a really, like I said, stable product. It's a beautiful wood as well, too, once it's stained up.
It's such a misconception that these logs are being pulled out of plantations, that these timbers, the trees, that is not the case. Those are red pines. They're put in plantations because they grow quickly. Then they're harvested and they're used in manufacturing like pulp wood and paper mills, right. All of that. These eastern white pines that we selectively harvest, those are found throughout the forest. And those aren't harvested earlier in their life cycle. It's toward the end of the life cycle. Very stable wood structure. That way, when they undergo the stress of the drying process, they don't twist, which is something that you'd see on a very premature tree.
Exactly. And we're purchasing our products from certified foresters. So they're replanting typically 3 to 5 trees for every tree that they're removing from the forest. So, we're going to need logs, timbers, trees 50 years from now. So we want to make sure that they're there.